Welcome back to Sports Card Culture, podcast number 10, the first of 2021.
Milestone podcast.
We're in the double digits. It is January 4th, here with John Anderson, Pop Culture Archives. We are in Columbia Heights, Minnesota.
That is correct.
What do we got on the docket today?
I mean, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's just get into it. Let's start off with what you're chomping at the bit to talk about. The basketball and early return.
Yes.
Now, so you have, name the website again?
SportsCardInvestor.com.
SportsCardInvestor.com.
Yep.
I got some players that I had looked up, and we didn't coordinate this. I just happened to have the player that you wanted to look up, Investors. So, now, I didn't put down, like, Trae Young. Trae Young's a baller. He's doing well.
He's
okay.
like an MVP.
Well, that's not that interesting to talk about, right?
Right.
So, I got points leaders that are interesting to me. Bradley Beal, 30.6.
Wow. Very underrated player.
Jaylen Brown, 28. C.J. McCollum, 28.
Nice.
And Colin Sexton, 26. Now, Sexton was a early sleeper. Now, is he a sleeper if everybody's talking about him being a sleeper? So I don't know. But so what do you got on your?
It's interesting that you got a bunch of guard play. Obviously, Curry last night had a big game.
Oh,
dropped
yeah.
62.
62.
Career high. There's some guards really scoring. It's interesting. Jaylen Brown's kind of, in a lot of ways, maybe becoming the face of that team even over Tatum. I mean, it's interesting.
I don't know.
It's close. Like I think Brown's like, it's a
He
pretty close Batman Robin kind of like duo.
Brown is more exciting to watch.
Yeah, they're different players. Like Tatum's big. I mean, Brown's not. He's a smaller guard.
Like Anthony Davis isn't fun to watch. Like he's just good.
Can be. Yeah, it's different. Of those guys you listed, I'm looking at the top.
So anybody in the movers there? So those are guys who aren't big ballers before the season. They're good players.
I'm looking at the top 10 price movements by player the last 14 days.
All right.
The only guy you listed is Jaylen Brown. He's number 10.
Okay. But
this is all sports.
All right.
So
I got some other names for basketball.
Yep.
I played them today in FanDuel.
Okay.
And Terry Rozier got 20. Rozier.
Yep.
23.2 points.
Nice.
But like good overall stats.
Yep.
But I didn't even know the name.
Well, let me say
this.
I
knew the name.
It's interesting you bring up Colin Sexton because number 2 on this list is actually the guy that plays with Sexton in Cleveland, Darius Garland.
Right.
So Darius Garland, they got a couple guys that can score, young guys. Sexton was a rookie the year before.
But stat-wise, Garland's early returns aren't massive by any means. He just had some really good games.
To be honest, I like those guys, but just Cleveland as a whole, it's not a great fan base. It reminds you of Minneapolis. I obviously love the Twins, but when you think about a guy really taking on, LeBron went to Miami and went to LA for a reason. He wanted to win one there, but he recognized the limit that happens
in terms of marketability and after his career's done. Right. So Jared Allen's averaging 10.7 rebounds, had a good game the other day.
Yep.
He's a guy. I just picked up 2 more Noir RPAs last night.
Nice.
For $35 a piece.
Unreal.
I have
cheap.
3 of them.
Yeah.
It's super cheap. All right, I got one guy I think might be on the list.
Okay.
Jokic.
He is not on the list.
He's not. Listen to this.
Yeah.
22.3 points, 11.2 rebounds, 12.8 assists.
He's
not averaging a barely triple-double. He's averaging a hefty triple-double.
when do you find a 7-footer who averages 12 assists?
Yeah.
Over
by the way, he's leading the league in assists.
That's unbelievable.
Per game.
He's all
and
around.
He's not on the list.
I remember his rookie year, 2015. He came out with with Towns, and I remember we were selling his Prism rookies for $3 to $5 forever. I think I even sold a silver early on for $5 to $10.
I bought a second-year Prism Starburst. Does that sound right?
Yep.
I don't even know that. They don't use that parallel anymore, I guess.
Right, yep.
Bought that for $30.
Nice.
Couple hours ago.
Yeah, Jokic is solid.
I can't afford his.
Now, if you think about it, the only downside to a guy like Jokic is if you think about the top 10 selling basketball players, there's not a lot of centers.
No, right. But if you're averaging a triple-double as a center, what are you going to do?
Yeah, no, it's impressive.
So let me say this. I looked up Jokic. January 1st, he had a PSA 9 base card for 180.
Yep.
And there's not a lot of supply, but there was an auction. How do you spell his name?
Jokic.
PSA 9. there was an auction. It was at 2:30 already, and that was about 2 hours ago.
Wow.
And so it already bumped up $50 in 3 days. And the auction was a couple hours.
I want to throw out a guy on here that I'm pretty sure. I can't remember if we talked about him, if you even heard of him. I literally don't remember ever seeing this guy's card, and I now realize why when I click on it. This guy only has one rookie card from 2015 basketball.
Okay.
Christian Wood. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I sent you a text about that. You never got back to me.
Christian Wood.
What the hell?
Has a 2015 Donruss. That's the only rookie card he has. And he's number 5 on the list. His cards are up 83% in the last 2 weeks.
You know how I figured him out? Was I was looking up another player, and he was in the also suggested by on eBay.
Sure. I pulled up like his second. We tried to find his second and third year stuff even because like he only has one rookie card out of Donruss. It's kind of odd.
that Jokic has 14 minutes left. So when it closes, we'll have
check out the price.
Up to date information that will get posted on YouTube 5 days later.
Nice.
Wood was undrafted, so.
Yeah, Wood was undrafted. Yeah, a lot of times they don't put those guys. Sometimes you
get
a contender.
You know what that is? That's that guy when you open up a new product and you're like, oh, this is a bad whatever. Right. And it's just like, hold on to it, man. You never know.
Absolutely. So number 1 on the list to me was a big surprise.
Yeah, go through the list now.
So number 1 is Domantas Sabonis. So if you recognize that last name,
I have no idea.
It's Arvydas Sabonis' son.
Is it basketball?
Basketball, yep. So he was with OKC and now he's with the Pacers. He was a rookie back in 2016.
No idea.
His cards are up 116% in the last 14 days. He's number 1 overall sports.
Is it 116% because he was so cheap?
I think that's part of it.
Okay.
His prices, I'll just give you an idea on price. Like his Prism Silver 10 is now up to almost 1,000.
Oh.
And it probably was like 100.
Well, no, that means it was 4 something or 5 something before. That's a big jump.
So I mean, Prism base, that's a silver 10. That's the extreme. Now, if you go to a base Prism 9, they're like $100. But they were probably 10 or 15.
No, that's a big bump. That's not a $3 to $6 card.
That's
a
$50
to $100 card.
He's averaging 21, 11, and 7.
Wow.
Nice. So almost a triple double for the Pacers. So that's a guy to keep
an eye on.
I liked
the bonus when I was a kid.
His dad was one of the, speaking of good passing big men, like Jokic. His dad was just like that with Portland for years. I mean, just solid. Number 2, Darius Garland for Cleveland.
Okay.
Number 3 is the guy that I actually had 2 customers ask for today.
Okay.
And I need to go back to my box. Keldon Johnson for the Spurs, who was a guard, who was a rookie last year.
I gotta write that one down.
He's number 3 overall, up 94%. Prism base 10, Prism silver 10s. But then this guy we're gonna launch into a whole nother topic on. Number 4 is not a basketball player, not a football player, not a hockey player,
soccer,
not a soccer player. He is the GOAT.
Track and field.
He's the GOAT of golf, Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods
is up 94% in the last 14 days.
And why is this, Clint?
Well, so I actually didn't even know about this. I had a customer today, or like sometime last week before I left.
No, I
said
Tampa. It like that because we literally talked about it for the podcast.
There's actually 2 documentaries coming out. One by ESPN that's kind of like a Last Dance type feel, and then HBO is doing one. Now, I think the name of it from ESPN is kind of funny. It's like Tiger Woods, America's Son, or something. You know, it's just like super.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean whatever. Yeah. But like, it's coming out, I believe, probably as it gets close to Masters time.
You know, I think that name's pretty good because of his relationship with his father.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because he had such a close relationship with his father. His father raised him to be a golfer. And so that transference from his father's son to America's son. That makes sense.
And to be honest, like, no one, I don't think, ever envisioned. Like, I was talking about this with a buddy the other night. I don't know if people realize this. There weren't golf cards. There were some golf cards in the 30s. There were some tobacco golf cards.
Yeah.
Then there was a pro set in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then literally there was no golf cards until 2001 when Upper Deck came out with golf because it was Tiger Woods.
Well, Upper Deck signed Tiger Woods, and they're like, well, we better make some golf products.
So literally think about this. Like, Tiger Woods took golf from, like, literally no one caring to, like, it becoming cool again. And so his rookie card, someone told me the price. They go, you got to go look up these. I sold a PSA 10 in May for $475. The last sale on a PSA 10, I want to say, was close to $1,000.
Wow.
And then, like, all the other, so we're talking card number 1 in that Upper Deck set is his base. I actually have an unopened box, and those have gone from like 100 to 500.
Have you sold any raw in the last few years?
Yeah, I've sold
What
a
were
few.
they selling for raw?
They were $10.
Yeah, wow. That's what I thought. So when I looked it up yesterday, I found I had 3 of them.
Nice.
So what happened was,
Yeah, where were they?
2 days ago, I sold 23 Tiger Woods cards. I have a variation listing on eBay, and they're all Goodwin champions.
Did you type in on Google why or try to figure out what?
No, I just thought, well, it's Tiger Woods, so I didn't question it a whole lot.
Sure.
I figured, I don't know. But it's like they were buying multiples of Goodwin champions. I had them at $1 a card. I'm like, okay, that was weird. And I shipped it out today. And then
you're like, it's a weird time of the year to be shipping golf, like
right.
You know.
And then I knew I had some more Tigers to be listed, so I pulled those out and listed those. And when I looked up his rookie, it was, you know, I listed them for 125. It looks like I'm gonna be pulling those off now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still didn't look up why it was.
Yeah.
I just was like, all right, you know.
I mean, Woods is like, he had that persona like Jordan, like he was marketed that way by Nike and by Upper Deck and being.
Isn't it interesting how Upper Deck's always right?
Upper Deck just has a way of like.
And by the way, Ben Simmons
Figuring
is
it
doing great. He's an Upper Deck guy.
Yep, Simmons is
We
great.
keep talking about Ben Simmons.
I mean, literally, Upper Deck has the GOATs. They have Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
They have Jordan.
Have Griffey.
And they have Woods.
And Griffey.
Yeah, and they have Griffey. I mean, so literally, like,
Every sport.
they literally have the sports locked down. Like,
Yep.
and they're exclusive. And they have LeBron, just in case you want to, you know, think LeBron's, you know, 2 or whatever in basketball. Like
1A, 1B.
1A, 1B. They got Connor McDavid in hockey, who's like the next up and coming. You know?
Fair enough.
So,
well, it's a 1A, 1B in hockey, too.
for sure. I mean, so it's going to be interesting. I mean, get your Tiger Woods cards out. I mean, we just picked up an autograph. I actually have a framed autograph piece that we might have to list online, but I'm excited to watch it. I've enjoyed picking up golf recently, and I've always enjoyed Woods. And
like I do not like watching golf, but I really enjoy history.
Yep.
So I'll probably have a lot more fun watching those documentaries than I would watching him play golf.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
Sure. Yeah, kind of his, like the biography of Tiger Woods. You know, not every shot necessarily. So then you got number 6 is Landry Shamet. Number 7, Christian Wood. We already talked about. Teddy Bridgewater, believe it or not.
Why?
I don't know. I wonder if they think he's going somewhere else. Like we've been talking about today, like with
they're
Wentz.
not going to playoffs.
So like with Wentz, he wants a trade. Is he going to go to New England? Is he going to go? And is Cam going to leave and go to back to? You know, what I mean, there's all these. Or is he going to go to Washington and
do you think Cam can be a starting quarterback to start the year next year?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I mean, Jacksonville. I mean, a little bit depends on like
does he want to go to
who
Jacksonville?
drafts who and.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it's interesting, Bridgewater. This one blows my mind. Next after Bridgewater is Vlade Divac.
Well, Vlade Divac got in the Hall of Fame last year, but that was a while ago.
Yeah, but I think it's actually more connected to the fact that he's in management for the Kings, right? Or is it the Lakers?
But
no,
how
it's the
often
Kings.
is
He's the
that?
GM. I mean, I don't know, Steve Nash, maybe. I mean, with
but Steve Nash is the coach. There's a difference between a coach and director of player personnel.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever.
Well, I had this thought the other day. Let me ask you this: do you think this will make any impact on like the value of sports cards for like Pete Alonso or the Mets? The fact that Cohen, the owner of the Mets, now took interest and bought PSA. Like, do you know what I mean? In other words, is his
more
interest in cards going to help market his own player, or do you know what I mean? Is there going to be any sort of correlation between those?
I think maybe.
It'd be interesting to
now that you have the financial interest in it. I do got to bring up something because I didn't write it down.
Why is Panini not advertised at like a game? Like when you go to a
it should
game,
be.
Right?
Oh no, I should say that.
Topps.
I mean, Topps had marketed at games before.
Have you seen Topps stuff?
It's been. Yeah.
I literally don't remember like going to a sporting event and seeing anything cards recently. Yeah.
Baseball, not really basketball so much.
Interesting.
But I do want to bring up something. I didn't write it down. So what I do now is I just kind of keep a running idea prompt for the podcast. Like all of them are like half a sentence, just so that I remember what to talk about. So I listed a card yesterday in my variation listing. It was Kevin Durant. Second year Kevin Durant SP Authentic, $6. Explain that one to me. And I'm high. My price is high. You can get it for like $4. SP Authentic was so much better than Topps.
It's the highest quality card maybe made back then.
What is happening?
I love it. Like it's the cleanest.
Is this not the most
undervalued? That's a
card in the world.
Well, because if you think about it, what's a second year LeBron SPF?
That's what I'm saying.
It's like probably 30 raw or 40.
SP Authentic, $6. Kevin Durant. I still listed it because I'm not in the world of holding on to cards, but I don't know. SP Authentic is the best set in that, that year when those cards came out,
awesome.
SP Authentic was number one.
Honestly, the only reason I would rip any hockey product currently is because I like SP Authentic and that they still make it for hockey. Like, it's that nice of a product. I'd rip hockey just to rip SP
You heard
Authentic.
it here first. If in 6 months, all of a sudden it's a $100 card.
Yeah.
You know.
I like it. Durant, second year SP. Yeah. Now, Durant just got hurt.
Stop laughing at me.
Or not hurt, COVID. He's out so he's going to be out for a week.
Yeah. But no, I'm just saying $6.
Yeah,
like,
but what I'm saying right now is, like, for those of you guys listening, like, this next week might be a great time to buy some Durant. Because you might have a little dip before, like, we really see, things continue.
And he started out great.
He missed a game winner yesterday, but he's played well, which was rare for him. It was, like, wide open 12-footer. But, yeah, anyway.
All right, so I do want to bring do we got any more for
No, so the last guy on this list was Markelle Fultz, actually. So
yeah, he's been a preseason sleeper.
Orlando, 2017 number 1 overall pick.
No, he's been a preseason sleeper that everybody was talking about, so sleeper.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed his stuff started selling. I mean,
all right, so we didn't get to it last podcast because
we were long-winded.
We went really short. We only did an hour last time.
Started late.
But we got one super fan, I think.
Nice.
But you know what's funny is my super fan
what
from
up,
when
Steve?
I was doing it was somebody else, but well, Steve will come up, I'm sure. So my super fan from before, he hasn't commented yet, so I don't know if he gave up on me after my hiatus or what. But Atomic Zombie Android. He said, thanks for bringing up his question in podcast number 8.
Yes.
And so he had
90s baseball was his question.
Right.
For those of you guys who didn't catch
when we were talking about 90s baseball. And that was a fun conversation, too. Like, I probably wouldn't have written that down.
Yeah.
So he said he asked why the cards sell so well on eBay, on KBid for low to mid tier. And he asked if it was pickup. So this is more of a question for me.
Yeah.
But since Clint's so closely linked with KBid. We literally started the KBid together, even though it's quote-unquote my baby, but we're definitely went into it together.
I think both of us saw the value of buying on it and, like, hey, this is a unique channel. Let's move some stuff.
And so he had said, is it because of the free pickup? The short answer is yes.
Yeah.
The ability to pick up 300, 500, 1,000 card lots, and not have to pay the shipping. I mean, if you go on eBay, you're not seeing any of those lots because the shipping is ridiculous.
Right.
And so you can pay more for that stuff.
Yep.
And with no shipping, it's like maybe you got to drive 15 minutes and then you have some errands to do.
For sure.
And that's why we're getting prices that maybe you would never see on eBay.
KBid's like the best of both worlds when it comes to, like, it's the best of Craigslist in that it's local. But you don't have to deal with, like, the shadiness of, like, someone backing out. It's actually a business.
Meeting in a parking lot.
Yeah, meeting in a parking lot. And it's also, like, the best of, like, I don't know, a garage sale or something where, like, it's bigger items. You're not going to mail this stuff, but you want to be able to get it.
Well, they do a lot of
but you don't know where to find it.
They do a lot of estate sales, too, so you never know what you're going to find.
Exactly.
So it is very much like garage sales.
It's very eclectic. Like, you could literally find an auction that has tools, fishing, and then sports cards.
Yeah. And we've been building up the sports card. We've been building up a specialized audience within the platform.
Right. But there's a lot of other people that, like you said, they'll do an estate and there's be a few cards where it's like, I think we're the first people that are, like, really focusing on just collectibles.
They're the coin dealer. That's real focused. They're the car dealer. There's multiple car dealers on there.
Makes sense.
And then, but, like, this is a platform where you can sell a combine. I've seen 10 combines sell the last couple of years. I mean, and I'm not even looking for them. But yeah, the free pickup, the hyper localized bidder set. So this is my estimate.
But now let me ask you this: I remember the numbers on this. How many, like, bidders in our auctions are out of state currently?
So you can tell how many bidders there are because you can look at the newest bidder numbers. Yep. And it's about 360,000 bidders. Obviously, some of the early ones
dropped out,
aren't
active. Yep.
But I estimate just based on, so when I took the training, they had a heat map. You know what a heat map is? Yep. So I'll explain it. A heat map is just where you have a map, and then the darker the color is, the more intensity, whatever you're tracking.
The more volume.
And so when they showed the United States, I estimate 250,000 are in Minnesota proper.
Okay.
And then maybe another 50 are in the bordering states, and then there's another 50 out of state. Okay. So because of that,
so it's still picking up out of state, though. There's a lot of potential.
And KBid's trying to move to Chicago. They're trying to move into the Chicago market.
Nice.
But what'll happen is, so when we put up a lot, and it's a Viking-centric lot or a Packers-centric lot. They're the reason why we put Favre cards up all the time. They're the reason why we put, because it's so hyper-local. And so that's part of the reason why maybe prices are a little more too, because people like enjoy bidding on K-bid.
And wouldn't you say there's a group, a sector of the collecting market that, for whatever reason, they're not doing eBay?
No.
And like they might do Craigslist, they might do K-bid, they might do some of these alternative auction houses.
There are a lot of collectors that refuse to buy on eBay.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. There's people.
I've heard various reasons.
I know people that backed out eBay because they got tired of the fees and they don't want to sell on there, so they don't buy on there. And so like yeah.
Or something happened and it soured on like a seller.
And I would be curious to see if Amazon isn't going to become if they're going to have any.
Amazon's a big card seller.
Yeah, card seller.
They're really selling to people who don't know what they're doing at all.
More like the fan, like the sports fan,
the guys who would buy at Fanatics.
Yeah, and the people that used to shop on QVC back in the day when they would sell the slabbed cards and do the.
Yeah, Steve's mom loved QVC. What up, Steve?
What up, Steve?
I knew I was going to integrate Steve somehow.
QVC, yeah. So no, that's interesting. I on the K-bid front, how have you seen? How many new bidders have we seen over the process from the beginning?
I saw the marketing guy, Chris at K-bid had. I wasn't expecting the question. It would have been nice to be prepared.
I like doing that.
He had sent out something maybe a couple months ago, and I want to say their growth, and I don't know if this is revenue or bidders or whatever, is something like 60% in the last year. I mean, they're exploding in bidder and revenue and but the affiliates haven't gone up all that much.
And you know what I see? One of the strengths of K-bid is we have this long winter season where there aren't the flea markets, there aren't the auctions outside, and so people are inside more. There aren't no garage sales. So like how else do I find those treasures? Whether I'm a flipper, whether I'm a collector, whether I'm some of both. And so K-bid gives you the opportunity to actually like acquire inventory when it's dried up. And so I'd be curious to see. I remember I used to be able to pull up K-bid and to tell you how many total items were being auctioned at the time. And I remember in the middle of the summer, it literally being like 3 times as many as it is right now, because of whatever reasons.
Yeah, I'll send Chris an email and ask him for some numbers, and we'll talk about that next podcast as well. Thank you, Atomic Zombie Android, for the question.
Solid name.
Like our first podcast fan, I would say.
Love it. So you want me to throw out a topic?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's this thing called the stimulus. We got a second round approved. Did you hear about that?
As a libertarian, I'm not a big fan, but go ahead.
Printing more money. Well, because I mean, the thought process is if giving every American citizen $600 is good, why not give them $60,000? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if that's the solution, then we should do more, right?
Though.
We should.
The government is giving us our own money.
Right.
I don't understand this gift part.
No, it's not a gift, and not only that, for them to give you $600, it's costing the taxpayers
more than
$2,000 or something silly.
Well, no, I don't know, but
with all the foreign aid packet. Oh yeah,
but I mean, just on the $600, the processing of it,
it's super inefficient.
It's 800 maybe.
It's bureaucracy at its worst.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the stimulus, though,
it's happening.
I'm already starting to see it, and I'm curious to see if you're going to notice in the next week or two. I've noticed on eBay a huge increase of sales, not only quantity but also like higher value cards.
And let's be clear, the stimulus is not meant to build your collection. It's for all the suffering people out there, which there are some, and I don't want to act like there's nobody suffering.
For sure,
I'm
people
sure
lost their businesses.
Plenty that are.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's
here's the reality: is because you're a libertarian and we live in a country that is free. When you give a stimulus, there's no conditions as to where it goes. The money's going to flow.
They're the famous. Again, I'm not prepared for this, which is the whole point of the podcast.
Shoot from the hip. Yeah.
We're not super prepared. But I believe it was Jimmy Carter.
Okay.
Was going to issue a check. I'm going to butcher this. I'm probably got the wrong president, the wrong concept. But basically it was, we're going to send out a stimulus check.
Yep.
And then when they did a survey, they asked people what they were going to do with it, and they said they were going to save it.
Yeah. Which
is literally the opposite of what they were trying to accomplish. And so I have little faith in what the government wants to do and what they can actually execute.
And whether or not it's actually going to accomplish it.
But it's happening.
Yep.
So you're thinking.
So I have two. I have two thoughts on the stimulus. One related directly to the hobby, which is one of the so anytime you have $2 trillion printed,
correct,
you're immediately devaluing the dollar.
Correct.
And so how do you stay above inflation? Well, you have to have assets that are going to appreciate more than cash.
I have an answer, Clint.
Gold,
hard assets,
silver, hard assets,
anything,
right? All that
really.
stuff.
Anything that's
goods,
appreciable is an
inventory.
appreciable asset.
Yep.
So if you go and you go, I'm gonna buy a brand new car, that's not an appreciable asset.
Right.
That's a depreciable asset. But sports cars are one of them.
Yep. One of
houses are one of them.
Yep.
Gold is one of them.
I mean, I know a lot of people, even in my parents' business.
A vintage car could be one of them.
Yep.
Like a real cherry '65 Corvette. That could be one.
Or an airplane. Airplanes actually appreciate versus.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
really?
they do. Yeah, because the value of new airplanes have gone up so significantly that the used ones, the demand,
Would you argue that is an appreciable asset, or that it's a temporary production issue making the used ones worth?
Well, I think it's a production issue, but I also think it's
because it deteriorates over time.
It deteriorates over time, but you have to take really, really specific care of a plane. You have to have it annual, then you have to have it maintenance, far more than a vehicle.
Well, then there's a lot of maintenance costs associated with it.
So there is some cost. Now, I think a lot of the planes that are bought by businesses for purposes. So it's an asset for your business. You know what I'm saying?
More like a house.
Yeah, it's more like a house. It's serving a purpose. Yeah.
Right.
So you're. And the fact that so my dad owned a plane. The reason I know this is
your dad owned a plane,
like a Cessna 172, so like a 4-seater. So like when I was little, he bought it, and when he sold it, like 20 years later, he sold it for more than he bought it for 20 years later, which is crazy.
Oh wow!
Right? Yeah, I mean, and the plane at the time was built in like the 60s.
Oh wow!
So I mean, planes from the '60s,
and it wasn't a collectible.
No, it wasn't a collectible. It was like
just a functional plane.
because a new Cessna is like $500,000, so like a used one might only be $30,000 or
okay.
So yeah, there's a huge demand for used planes.
That's really interesting. Well, that has nothing to do with cars, but one of the interesting things about behavior and assets like that is so like in real estate's a very good investment asset to have. For sure. And one of the reasons why it's so good is because while we're waiting for the asset to appreciate, we put it to use. Yes. So we rent it out.
Practical.
We live in it.
Yep.
We take care of it. What had happened in China, because they don't have that sort of culture where because Americans, one of the things I've read, I didn't realize this, but foreigners will say about Americans that Americans know the price of everything.
Huh.
And I was like, well, doesn't everybody know the price of everything? But apparently, culturally, that's not a thing.
Huh.
That's not a thing where people know the value and the price of.
Which is interesting that we have.
We do.
Hey, we have whole television series based on people knowing the price of things, whether it's Pawn Stars or American. Like it's like everyone's.
All that.
People are entertained by it.
And we're always trying to find that little arbitrage where the value of something, where something's selling for less than the value of it. And one of them is illustrated by the Chinese. Is they are acquiring more wealth now on an individual basis.
Yep.
China's the weirdest country on the planet. They're like the worst communists that ever lived because they do so much free market stuff.
Even though they're trying not to.
But like one of the things they do, they've been building these huge skyscrapers with condos in them. These wealthy families are buying condos as investments and then leaving them sit. Nobody's living in them.
Wow.
And because nobody's living in them, the buildings are deteriorating, and the investment is crashing.
Jeez.
Because they're not being taken care of, they're not being maintained. Because why would you maintain something where you're not living?
Right.
But I thought that was extremely interesting.
Well, and isn't that partly the result of them limiting the amount of children, so the population's just not increasing enough to fill those?
Housing that they're not using it. But again, that's a cultural thing. Like an American would be like, well, you're gonna what? Like what's the best way to invest in land? What do you put on land that you want to save for 40 years? What do you put there?
Public storage.
Public storage. Public storage is a real estate investment trust.
Right.
It is not a storage company.
No.
It's not a storage company.
You know what it is, though? It creates cash flow while you're.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Americans know, like, hey, we better do something to make it worth.
Yes.
We should generate some sort of positive cash flow, but that's not the reason why we're buying the land. Right. We're not trying to be in the storage.
Which is, to be honest, one
car washes, I think, might be.
You know what else is a lot of farming is that, actually. Yep. Like a lot of like crop farming. Like some of the years they're not making any money, but they're paying off and they're gaining equity in the property, and the land becomes the asset that you pay off.
I had learned that in college. I looked up public storage actually, and I was like, it's a real estate investment. And I looked at, I was like, oh, that's why they're doing this. That's nothing to do. I would think, like I said, I think car washes might be one of them.
Yep.
Where you can just get in a prime main strip, main road, and then let that develop.
Well, and one of the greatest investments is when you can leverage someone else's money.
Absolutely.
For something that's going to appreciate and gain you equity.
Right.
Think about it, right? That's why real estate investment is so awesome. I only need 10%. The bank, I'm going to borrow all this someone else's money to put towards this asset that's going to appreciate.
Right.
In my favor. Yeah, I mean, it's like this.
No, what's crazy is like our house we bought for $91,000 in 2009, and if you do the math, if you take what we paid in our mortgage and you take the appreciation on the house, we paid less in mortgage than we did on the appreciation of the house.
Literally, it's outgaining.
We've been living there for free.
For free. You've
been and made a few bucks.
And see, that's the benefit, obviously, like you're saying, to real estate over a Michael Jordan rookie is you can't live there. You can't live there. So. To the point of the stimulus, I actually practically today, we had a guy come in who generally buys NASCAR. That's what he collects. And we had a high-end NASCAR box that was National Treasures. We only brought one of them in, and it was like $400.
I didn't even order one of them.
And he made a comment when he bought it. I was kind of surprised he was buying it related to his stimulus. And, I'm immediately kind of like, wow, we're actually seeing this. Free money. And I'm really interested to see how eBay right now, I want to say in the last week, it was far busier for us than it was in December. Have you noticed that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but it's kind of hard to tell whether that's seasonal or because of some other X factor.
I think you also have a lot of Christmas money. You have what I mean? There's a lot of...
January is actually really great because of the Christmas money.
Yep. People have money and they, have time, and the weather is such where there's not a lot. It's not a great
and
time
it depends
to do
on
much
what
outside.
field you're in. If you're the gift giver, so if you're in a market where it's a lot of 50-year-olds, you probably were giving a lot of gifts, and so now, or 45-year-olds, you're giving a lot of gifts, so now you're in debt from Christmas, so you're not spending.
Yep.
But if you're in a market that caters to the 16 to 30-year-old, you probably got a lot of gifts and got a lot of money, and now you're spending.
We had one of our customers make a comment who owns a business. He owns a restaurant in town, and he said, the holidays for them are actually really bad because a lot of people aren't spending the money maybe on eating out because they're buying gifts.
Right.
And so his industry actually got hurt during the holidays, whereas an industry like ours, that it's disposable income and it's gift related, like you actually see the money flow there. And
so it really does. It's really industry dependent, I would think.
So two things I also see this related to the stock market is when you stimulate this amount, when you print this much money, the value of businesses go up, right?
Well,
I mean, they have to go up because there's way more money and the same amount of goods and services.
But let's understand what we're talking about. Yeah. The value didn't really go up. So
the dollar went down.
Right. So if inflation occurs and your dollar can only buy what 50 cents could have bought before, and it doubled in price, really nothing has happened.
Right.
Because a candy bar I could have bought 50 cents. I printed a bunch of money. Now the candy bar is $1. And the dollar buys the candy bar.
Right.
How am I up? I'm not up.
No, you're not.
But if you possess cash and you decided not to buy the candy bar, and that other person decided to hold on to the candy bar
is better off.
Because now you've maintained your asset position where the person who did not spend the money is now can only buy half the candy bar.
Well, and I know you and I are both
not the greatest.
I know you and I are both fond of Warren Buffett, and I've listened to a lot of his teaching, and his comment on cash is it's a terrible asset, right? You need it, but it's a terrible asset because one thing you're certain of.
Interestingly enough, he hoards it.
He has a lot of cash,
but he also has it for a purpose.
But he also has a lot of businesses,
right?
And the cash is for the purpose because one thing you and I both know is 10 years from now, $100 will only be worth $100 if it's left in cash.
Right.
And that $100 will not buy me as much as it bought me today.
Correct.
So you want to have cash on the sideline, obviously for buying opportunities like he does, but it's for the purpose of getting into inventory.
So this is a good one. Like if you're trying to learn finance, Warren Buffett and literally everybody admits that cash is a horrible asset to have. The reason why Warren Buffett hoards it is because he uses the cash position as a tool to purchase companies in cash.
Yes.
Where they don't have to go through mergers and acquisitions. They don't have to do. He's just like, here's your check. I got it. Let's go. And he can acquire these businesses for sometimes less money.
Way less.
Than stock leverage buyout. He can do it quicker. He can do it without a lot of red tape.
Absolutely.
The cash is very valuable, but not because it will appreciate.
Not in and of itself, but what it can do, right? As a
do,
tool, not as an entity. A guy who was a mentor, a stock investor, friend of mine, a guy named Jack, who recently has retired to Arizona, told us one time, like, he buys a lot of real estate as investment, and a lot of times, like, there'll be a short sale or a sheriff sale on a property, and because he can show up and say, I can close in 3 days with cash, the incentive for the bank to close that deal, to take his offer if it's lower, is super high. That's exactly what Buffett's doing.
You're a seller who is on hard time.
Yep.
I remember when I sold my house in D.C., I had some of those cash guys, and they're like, "Here you go. What do you offer me?" He offered me $98,000. Says, "I'll give you a check for $5,000 today. You cash it. We'll make the deal." We didn't have no contract, but the second I cashed that check, I have to perform.
Yeah.
I ended up selling the house for $180.
Wow.
Like that's how, like, kind of a piranha they are.
That's the discount they're looking to get.
The money in your hand, and you're looking at that check, and that's why, like, at a card show, you had told me this one where you say, I want that card for $2,000, and the guy wants $3,000, and you just start putting $100 bills on the table.
You just start counting it
right in front of him, so you have to stare at it while he says no.
Yeah.
I've never done that move myself. I don't think I'll ever do that move. That's not really my personality, but, like, I get it.
I mean, if it's with a buddy or something, it's kind of like, I did it in jest, like, hey, you're selling me this card. I'm just I'm taking away your decision. Like,
because what happens is, the $2,000 was real in the offer.
Yep.
And $2,000 real on the table.
Yep.
But the money's right there. All you gotta do is reach out and grab it.
Yep.
That's a little different than just the $2,000. And even if you know the guy will write you the check.
For sure.
But that's one of the reasons why I'm not impressed by the people with a big grip at the National.
Right.
It's like, all right, a wire transfer does the same thing. But I get it from a psychological standpoint.
Well, if you're a 16-year-old kid and you walk in there with a card that someone can give you $2,000, that.
Well, no, but like the guys who buy out the tables, and it's like, well, you could just wire that to me. I mean, that's not you can PayPal it to me.
And not only that, the real big deals that are getting done in cards they're
not being
always
done in
getting
cash,
done. Now, some of them are. We know a guy. I mean, I know multiple $100,000 cash deals that have gone down, but
we talked about that at One National. Well, actually, I think this actually works into an idea prompt that I had. I was talking to moving away from real estate, because this is the real estate culture podcast. No, but more an idea of, like, value. So I was talking to some customers about this, and I had come up with this a few years ago, but we talked about sports cards as in terms of what I said. Americans know the price and the value, right? And so one of the things that I was talking to them about cards was so about, like, I don't make money at my cards, so what's the point in buying them, right? Because there's a lot of fixation on making money on cards, right?
Sure.
But one of the things that I always look at cards is it's a lot of entertainment for me.
Yeah.
So what's nice about cards, and I know we've talked about this from time to time, is if I spend $100 on a box of cards and I rip it and I have X amount of fun, or however you want to quantify that.
Yep.
And then you compare that to going to the bar, going to an amusement park, going to the casino.
Sure.
And it's like, I still have something to show for it the next day that's not a hangover.
Yep.
And so there's still an asset that I have that represents the fun I have, and I could make money on it.
For sure.
I may not be good enough to make money on it, but, like, I have a hard asset left over, and there's a lot of value to that.
And let's contrast that with, like, a scratch off, or let's say a pull tab. Once you pull it, if it's not worth anything, you're not entertained by it. You're done with it. It's going in the garbage. You're not going to, like, collect it in a book and show it to your kid.
I also can't look at the pull tab and watch the game and hope that somebody runs for 100 yards and make that pull tab worth $5.
Exactly. So cards have an intersection between sports, investing, like business, entrepreneurial, like opportunity, like,
and then a pure entertainment play.
And a pure entertainment. Like, I'm entertained by sports, and me collecting a player I enjoy enhances that experience for me. And that's, I think, the draw for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And I think that's a lot of the reason why people like collecting, even if they're not making money at it. Let's say they're like, I spent $10,000 last year and I have about $6,000 worth of assets.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, you must not like this. It's like, I got to hang out with my friend and bust cards and talk about it. When I watched games, I was rooting for players I would have never known of. And so there's a lot of value.
And if you did that 3 years ago, that 6 is now worth 18.
Oh no,
so
absolutely.
now you're ahead.
But I'm just talking talking straight up. Your cards are worth less than what you paid for them.
Right.
But the value of the cards are way more than
for sure
what they're worth.
And I think
intrinsically.
And think about this, and this is something I think that is one of the reasons why local card shops like your store and like my store exist is the social interaction, the friendships, the banter, the whole experience that's so much different than like I just bought a stock and now I'm not enjoying that with someone else. I'm not, it's not the experience, not the entertainment.
Somebody that also loves stocks, maybe, but maybe not to the same level.
It's different. It's different because now it's your team. You're cheering for. You're like, we have a lot of guys who collect. Like, they literally start collecting their fantasy team. So they have their fantasy football team, and those guys become the guys they collect, And so, like, it's that intersection of – I mean, fantasy sports have never been more popular in our country. Now you have the daily fantasy sports on top of the regular –
I wonder – I always had this theory with fantasy football and then now, again, with the daily fantasy and I haven't seen it happen, or at least I haven't noticed it, is – do you think that a really good – so there's really good collector players, right?
Yep.
But then there's really good players that you draft every year because they're really good for fantasy because you draft them in third round and like they're like second round value. But I keep wondering if eventually it'll expand the number of players that people want to collect.
Yeah. Because
they're using them in the fantasy team and they don't belong to their home team.
You know who I saw that with this year, I think, is – Christian McCaffrey and some of the running backs that maybe weren't getting the value. All of a sudden, it's like he's the number one pick in every fantasy draft almost across the country. And they're like, why is his card worth a third of all the quarterbs? You know what I mean? All of a sudden,
that seems weird to me.
It did seem weird. Like Dalvin Cook, I think running backs as a whole and receivers, DK Metcalf, have been affected positively by fantasy sports as far as their value and people realizing – why is this unspoken rule in the hobby that like quarterbacks are only investable?
No, and I would argue that, I mean, if you're really we're always looking for the undervalued part of the hobby, and in football that might just literally, I think it's wide receiver more than running back.
Yeah.
The biggest flaw with running backs is their career only lasts so long.
Right.
For every guy who's 12-year career, there's 100 that had a 3-year career. I mean, it's just whereas wide receivers routinely have 10, 12-year
careers. Speaking of wide receivers, Justin Jefferson for the Minnesota Vikings. Literally, if it wasn't for Herbert having a record season, would be the rookie of the year.
So let's illustrate this, and you probably know these prices better than me. Do you know what the silver Herbert's at right now? $1,200 3 weeks ago.
Like raw?
Yeah, raw.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
right.
1,000 to 1,400.
What's a silver Jefferson?
I would guess it's probably like 300.
That's nuts.
300 or 400.
25% of the quarterback, and they're both having arguably the same type of year at different positions.
Yeah, I know. It's we're obviously in Minnesota, so we can't keep Justin Jefferson cards around. We're being asked a lot about him.
But you're also not charging $1,200 for a silver.
It's not nearly, and he's not the chase of all the breakers across the country.
I'll put it this way: if you put $400 on a Jefferson silver, it would not sell. But if you put $800 on $142 for a Jefferson silver.
Wow, a lot less than it should
be. And so we're talking maybe 10%, 12%. Yeah. So case in point, if you put $250 on a Justin Jefferson in Minnesota shop, it wouldn't sell. Yep. But if you put $900 on a Herbert, it would sell.
Yeah. Which this is though where the fun part of collecting is.
Yeah.
I would rather collect Jefferson because he plays for the Vikings. I'm a Vikings fan. And guess what? I get a discount. I get to buy
huge discount.
The rookie of the year, having the greatest rookie wide receiver season statistically.
Do you know when they announced rookie of the year?
When is it?
Yeah.
I think it's
between Super Bowl week?
I think it's the week of the Pro Bowl, the Super Bowl. Between the
championship
the 2
games
weeks off.
Bowl,
Yep. Sometime in those 2 weeks.
The last silver, for Christ's sake. The last Herbert, thank you, Evan, for the assist. The last Herbert sale was $1,425, and the Jefferson was $140.
So 10%.
Literally 10%.
Literally 10%. Almost
that's wonky.
To the T. Yeah, which I mean, I'll say this much. I think it's like gold and silver. There's always a relationship.
Yeah.
There's always like a 20 to 25x relationship between those two. I think the Herbert's going to come down. And I think the Jefferson's going to go up. I think that gap's going to tighten.
Right, but it's not going to tighten to 50%.
No, it's not going to tighten that much.
Unless Herbert sucks and Jefferson.
But it's a good wide receiver class, and Jefferson.
I think CeeDee Lamb doesn't get a lot of attention just because the Cowboys have struggled so much.
Well, and then that Brandon Ayuk for the Niners.
Yeah.
There's some guys that because they didn't have a great year and they just the
other rookie, it just turned into football rookies all of a sudden. But like Cam Akers, I was a big fan of.
Yeah, he played really well for the Rams.
And I was a big fan of him before he even started getting touches. So I'm happy that it worked out.
Well, and let me say this: as we bantered today in the shop, give me your Super Bowl pick, or give me your AFC NFC Championship game picks.
Oh, jeez. I don't know if I can do that. I would have to look at it a little more. I do think the Buccaneers are going to beat the Redskins.
Yes.
And then who do you think they play the week after that? Evan, if you can. What's the matchup looking like? Maybe we should just pull
so let's just pull those up. So I'll be honest. I think, and this is usually the case, and this is probably a cop out, and you can tell me if it is.
It's a cop out.
I always roll with the best quarterbacks. So I think quarterbacks carry teams in the playoffs, and so my NFC Championship matchup is the best two quarterbacks in the NFC, which is clearly the GOAT, 6 rings and all, Tom Brady.
What, you like Tom Brady? That's new information.
I got such a man crush on Tom Brady. And then Aaron Rodgers, who's having probably the MVP season along him and Mahomes. So, I think this is the chance for Rodgers to get a ring. And if he doesn't, I don't know if there's going to be a better opportunity. They're as good as they've been, and the NFC's up for grabs. It really is. I don't know if I trust the Saints. Breeze looks old. It doesn't look like he can throw downfield like he used to. Seattle, I don't know, man. They've had a rocky. They've got beat at home by.
Yeah, Seattle, I'm not real confident.
No,
even though I love.
Honestly, I hate the Packers so much as a Viking fan that it's hard for me to say.
The NFC is like,
I love Brady though.
They're clicking. I actually like Devontae Adams.
Yeah, no, he's a good player.
He doesn't anger me like every other Packer who ever lived was, including Brett Favre, even when he was with
us. Yeah.
The winner of Bucks Redskins plays the Packers.
Yeah.
So it'll be Brady. Rodgers.
It would be Brady.
Oh wow!
Divisional.
So they can't meet up.
That's too bad.
So here's the thing: we got Rams, Cardinals. I think Rams win that. Saints,
I can't believe the Bears are in the playoffs, dude. How are the Vikings not in the playoffs? The Bears at 8-8. Good night, man. We just lost so many close games early.
You know what? I think the Rams are going to be in the NFC Championship game.
Really? So you think a Rams Packers is what you're thinking?
You think Rams Packers, not Rams Buccaneers?
Honestly, the Packers are pretty hot. I don't. It'd be awesome if the Bucs could get through them, but I thought.
You know what? I think Tom Brady's going to be in the Super Bowl.
You think so?
Because I think I'm a little biased because I hate the Packers so much, and I'm going to be rooting against them.
You're going to be rooting against them, right?
But the other branch is pretty easy. Saints, Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks. I think the Buccaneers can beat all those teams. And it's going to be the Packers.
And no one, I'll say this much, no one has more experience than Brady.
What?
No one. No one plays better in the clutch. The question is going to be, honestly, the question for the Packers is going to be their defense. Can their defense play well enough?
No, fair enough.
That's going to be the question. I think offensively they can play with anybody. It's can they get stops and.
All right, so AFC.
Oh man, look at this matchup: Steelers Browns.
Steelers are going up against the Colts or the Raiders.
No,
I think we're going to see
no, they're playing the Browns. Steelers are playing the Browns. Do you think they're going to beat the Browns?
So they have a bye?
No. Chiefs are bye.
Oh, what?
Chiefs and Packers.
What I'm looking at, they have a bye.
Yep.
Oh, okay, that's why. Okay.
So wild card playoff: Steelers, Browns, Saints, Bears, Titans, Ravens, and Colts, Bills. I like the Bill. My pick.
But the Bills and the Chiefs are in the same bracket.
No.
Titans and the Ravens.
No, Bills.
Whoever wins that.
No. The matchup is set for the Bills and the Chiefs.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I think those are a wonky tree here.
Yeah, you're at I don't know what you're looking at. I'm on ESPN. Who are you?
No, this might have been maybe from last week, and so they flopped a little bit.
So the best two quarterbacks.
This is what happens when you don't prepare.
Hey, think about this though. You have the potential to have matchups where you have the best two young quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Mahomes, And possibly even before the championship series, Brady Rodgers.
Okay, here's the thing. I think we're going to see Josh Allen versus Tom Brady.
Wow. That would be
I think the Chiefs are very beatable this year.
I do.
They
people don't realize the Chiefs spotted the Texans, 21 points last year? Yeah. They had to dig out of multiple holes against multiple teams. Like, the Chiefs did not have an easy path to the Super Bowl last year. They looked bad in the first half of the Super Bowl, too.
Right.
Like, people forget, like, Patrick Mahomes is being put on this, because he is. Like, he's whatever. He is the face of the NFL. He's a great player.
Right.
But, like, the Chiefs are very beatable, and the Bills are
Chiefs are a great team.
People.
I'm not arguing. I just get this feeling that it's going to be Bills Bucks.
Which is interesting. We just had a
crazy
we had a customer on Saturday bring in 3 NT RPA Josh Allen autos, collegiate, 1 true RPA to 99 and to 25. And by the way, this could actually segue into our next,
right.
Using all these.
You wanted to talk about this. You know what's funny is we don't prepare yet. The conversation tends to flow properly.
So we wanted to talk about terminology, and this came up because Mike, what up, Mike?
What up, Mike?
Mike, my business partner at Absolute, has had the idea for a little while now that I think we're going to execute in the next month to start like a Saturday once a month kind of card collecting 101 for kids, like a little hour-long, ask questions, kind of explain different topics and just kind of how to take care of your cards. And it's funny, today I had a customer go, I use the phrase RPA, and he said, what does that mean?
You had mentioned that before we started the podcast, and I admitted that 18 months ago I didn't know what RPA meant. Yeah. I kept seeing that message board. I'm like, I don't know.
And you'll see it in listings on eBay.
Do you know why I didn't know what it was?
Because you didn't have one.
I didn't own an RPA. Why would I know that term?
So RPA stands for Rookie Patch Auto, and all of these acronyms a lot of them come out of necessity.
Yeah.
Like an eBay listing is very short. To title it and to try to put in Rookie Patch Autograph is really long.
Or because there are some companies that shall remain nameless who don't know how to name things properly, and they call multiple things by the same name, like prisms. This is a prism. Why is that better than a prism?
Hey, this year we had a mosaic bowl card. That's a fun one.
Double. So
you got the guy's name twice.
So this is what they did. So I had to learn this. So they went prism, silver. They had to call them silvers because they were otherwise known as prisms, which when you're going on eBay doesn't do anything to your search listing. Wow. I can't narrow that down any. So the hobby had to come up with a name. That wasn't Panini coming up with that.
No.
Then they had a mosaic type of prism. Okay, fair enough. And then they go, hey, people really like this. Let's make a set called Mosaic. And let's make a mosaic prism along with a silver prism. And no one's going to be confused by this.
So you got a mosaic, silver prism.
And silver is not even a technical name.
No, I know. That's the only one that helps us clarify anything.
So
if you've been confused, join the crowd.
There's going to be some 11-year-old in your class like, I don't get it.
I still don't understand. You guys didn't make it any easier.
Like, I was listing when I got to Mosaic because they have Mosaic Silver, the Mosaic Silver Mosaic.
Right.
And I'm like, how the hell do we even do this? Well, then I started putting them in PSA to send in.
Well, let me say the history of Mosaic, and it used to be easier. So in 2016, Mosaic was a separate set, used the same photos as Prism, and
I didn't know that.
And they were all Mosaic parallels. There was no base.
I did not know this.
So literally, they came in a little deck box.
And it was a set.
It was released like 2 months after Prism, and it was called Mosaic, and it was the same card, but they were all we would consider now the Mosaic
So it
parallels.
was like the optic set.
Yes.
The optic
shock.
It
was like
set.
the shock, but it was a mosaic. So mosaic, the word means like a pattern, right? It's a mosaic.
The baseball guys are very confused by this story.
These guys are like, what's going on here?
So
here's what happened. Then the popularity of Mosaic as a parallel set of Prism, they spun it off into its own thing.
So the Mosaic cards I have were part of a factory set, not
a factory set, but a box of it's like a 1-pack 30-card box.
That's a box. That's a factory set.
Yeah, but it wasn't like you got one of every card guaranteed. Does that make sense?
Oh no.
So it was a deck box where it was like a 1-pack. Do you remember the old Flair showcase boxes?
No, if I did this for a living, I would understand.
Yeah, I know.
So you didn't get.
It was essentially a pack of Prism all Mosaic cards from
And
that
how
year.
many were in the pack?
I want to say it was like 30, so you
And then-
wouldn't get every rookie, and you'd get some parallels, so you'd have some
But
Mosaic blues.
It copied the main set.
Yep, so literally it was the identical photo, just with all Mosaic.
Now,
And they weren't that popular.
Were they random? Were they randomly packed, or were
Yeah.
like if you got would you
Nope.
get like 1 through 30 and
No,
31
randomly
through 50?
packed.
Okay.
So like you might get a Simmons rookie.
So
you
the
might
box
not, or
was
you
a
might-
pack.
It was box was a pack, and it was $100 a box. I remember him clear to the day in 2016, first year they came out. I'm like, Mike, what are these? He's like, that's Mosaic. He's like, they're all like the silver prisms, but they're Mosaic prisms. Really, help me clarify.
Well, if you guys are ever listening, going, I know these guys talk about the whole show beforehand. This is news to me.
Clearly.
Wow.
So
That's how
anyway,
they did that.
so now Mosaic has become its own. Like, so for years you had, the standard products were Prism, Select, Optic.
Right.
And then you had the
Donruss,
subset of
yeah.
Prism was Mosaic. Well, now Mosaic's its standalone thing, and
Yeah.
it's like it's on the same caliber of
Yeah, it's
those
definitely
other code cards.
a prism level
Yep.
set.
So, what other terminology do you think we should cover here? Man, there's a lot.
Again, that's
Oh,
what
pop report. Why don't we talk about that one? You see
Pop
it.
report.
So you see a lot of like pop 1 in someone's listing. What that means is it's short for population report, which
Right.
is the report that both PSA and Beckett give on their website of how many cards have been graded
Right.
at each grade level per card.
So you can look up a card and it'll say there were 3 10s,
Yep.
5 9s, and
Yep.
28s.
Yep. So you got a whole quantity. You can see how many total
How
have
many
been
were
graded,
submitted?
and how many at each level. And so if you have a pop 1, 10, that means you have the only 10 of that card graded by that company.
Oh, I got one. Wax.
Wax.
What does wax mean, Clint?
Yeah. So wax has evolved from literally the days of wax wrappers.
Paper, yeah.
Wax
wrapper,
paper wrappers
Wax paper wrapper.
is what cards came in. That was what the pack was. To now embody anything that's an unopened
Right.
box, but not a complete
But not
set.
a set.
Not a set.
So you would never refer to a factory set as wax.
Exactly.
Because you have to not know what's inside.
Yep. And
So that
yeah.
Mosaic box set would still be
It
wax.
was still wax, yep.
Yeah.
And so the difference between wax is, like, for example, some of you might even have noticed, like, maybe you came across a collection, you had, like, an 89 Upper Deck complete set, and you're like, why is this only worth a fourth of a wax box? And the
Right.
reason is you're going to get one Griffey. You're guaranteed one in the complete set,
Yeah.
but you could get 0 or 6
Right.
in a hobby box.
Right.
So there's an additional upside.
Right.
Wax is,
although in a factory set, your chances of getting a high grade card is higher
Yep.
than even packs.
But it's just the
not
quantity.
by a lot, but somewhat.
Yep.
Only because the packs shift around.
Now the problem with Griffey is he's on the front, card number
Yeah,
1, so
that's
he
rough.
didn't have another card to protect the surface of the front.
What was sad was we had sold a complete set of 92-93 top basketball in K-Bed, and one of the buyers, he opened it in the store, and the beam team was on the last part of the box,
Yep.
and so I think he got 3 beam teams, 4 beam teams, and the Shack was the last card and had a jam corner.
Oh man.
So like the first card and the last card in a factory set are kind of dangerous, but
Yeah.
all the cards in the middle are great because it's packed really tight.
Yep.
So even if it's moving around over 30 years, the
Yep.
cards don't really move.
Which, to your point, one of the reasons high grade vintage are so valuable, in like 1952, the Topps packs had 5 cards in them.
Yeah.
The front card would have gum stuck to
Yes.
it, so the surface would have an issue.
Yeah.
The back card would have the wax pack stuck to it, and it would have wax stains on the
Oh,
back.
funny,
So
yeah.
so 2 out of 5 cards, or 40%, were basically immediately ungradable.
Right.
You know, and so like nowadays you have a pack that might have 10 cards or 12 cards. Back then it was way fewer cards, and now today's packs don't actually damage.
And
They
let's-
don't stick to the cards.
Yeah,
just,
and let's understand too that this was a child toy, so they didn't care about centering.
Right.
They didn't care how well they cut the cards.
No,
so that's
but-
why the vintage sets, the centering is just atrocious. They
Yeah.
were just running
And the
them through
technology of the quality control was just,
absolutely.
it's just
Now, that being said, we've seen some amazing 2020 Prism football cuts. Like, you told us, did we talk
Yeah.
about this last
Yeah, the ones that
podcast?
were,
where
like,
it was,
multiple
you had
players.
3 cards,
3
in
cards
one
in
card?
one, 3 cards in one.
Why was it 3 cards and not 4 cards?
Because it was a horizontal card, and you got part of the bottom, but not the whole thing.
So
And
you got the 2 cards
yes,
on
it was,
like the left side, but
Yep.
then the horizontal
it was
card
literally
on the right side.
off center halfway, and then halfway.
Now here's the question: can we identify all the players? Anybody big?
No, I think we could identify 2. And then the other one you saw, like, I think you saw, there's no name or team or anything. It was just like.
But maybe you can match it by the background or something.
Possibly. Well, and if you could figure out where on the sheet they were.
Yeah, because if it's a big-time player, that card actually might be worth more than.
I actually listed a 1972 Topps card the other day. I actually don't list many cards, true confession, but I list these oddball ones just because, like, we have a bunch of guys who are good at listing, and like this card was such a bad miscut. I'm like, I think this card might sell for like $20 because it was almost half and half.
Right.
You know?
Now I will something I learned apparently on promo cards and elite trainer boxes for Pokemon.
Yep.
So in there, and then maybe like build and battle boxes.
Yep.
Because they have a promo pack in there.
Yep.
So I sold some Hidden Fates to a guy who opened them in the shop, and one was crimped on the card.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when the machine crimps the plastic of the pack, but then a card is actually on the crimp, and so it shows the entire crimp on the card.
It crimps the card too.
It's like a big indent.
Yep.
Apparently, the Pokemon guys like those, and they're very popular.
Really?
Yep.
Now, will those
card wise,
they're not going to grade well, obviously.
No,
right?
but sports cards wise, that's not true generally, unless it's a really big card. At which point, completists might, player collectors might go, "Oh, I do want that because it's different."
Yep.
But the Pokemon guys actually like it, according to one customer. So I don't know. I'll have to do some more investigating.
Yeah, it seems like the air market, like in the 90s, there was a lot of like air cards or like.
That was
blank
a big
backs
deal.
and stuff is a big deal. Now it seems like people have moved from that because, like, I was actually having this conversation with some guys the other day about Donruss.
Yeah.
And how Donruss, they'll have press proofs. And I don't know if you know the history of why they call it press proof and stuff.
Right.
So the big chase in the 90s Donruss baseball was these aqueous test cards that, like, on the back of the card would literally say aqueous test, and they were essentially a pre-production proof
it was
card,
so that
right?
like you print it out, they bring it to the director of art or whatever
and
for Donruss, and they look at it and they
Yep.
sign off on it, and then they would go to production.
It's like anything. Like if you have a graphic designer do something, they send you the test before you run it through, and so those cards actually have found their way into collectors. Collections.
Right.
Like they find these.
Now,
and so now people are like, well, why are all these cards press proofs? Well, it's
now,
a way of making
I've
a short
seen some
print.
jacked up press proofs before, right?
For sure.
So I will tell you this. I don't know if you've seen one of these. 2020 Prism Football. A guy posted a picture on one of the Facebook groups, and the image was shifted over like a half an inch.
Wow.
And it looked awesome.
Huh.
It looked like he had a shadow, like he was moving on the card.
Yeah.
And there was about 5 comments where I'm like, am I the only one that thinks this card is kind of awesome? And like 5 other guys were like, yeah, I kind of like it too. And
so the aesthetic value is actually enhanced.
it looked like it looked like it showed movement on it. It looked like with how like you play like Mario Kart and then you play against your last race and then you can see the ghost.
It's chasing you. Yeah.
I kind of like them. I don't know. If I see them for cheap, I think I'm just going to pick them up. Like,
yeah, I like when guys get into collecting kind of like a
weird
unique.
stuff.
Yeah, like, hey, I pulled this bad miscut and now
okay. So,
any other terminology?
I got a question for you. And this is another conversation in the shop, but I know for you it's pertinent because you like this guy more than most. So do you believe in the statement, do you believe in the concept that certain players are winners? And this is directly related to Kirk Cousins, who by all means had an excellent season this year.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins.
But he's not a winner.
No, he's a winner. What do you mean he's not a winner?
Not a winner.
He went to New Orleans in the playoffs last year and freaking daggered them for a win on the road as an underdog.
Right, but he was 0-11 for primetime games until the last one, all that kind of stuff.
I don't buy that.
But do you believe in that statement?
No,
that players are winners, or do you just think the chips fall and then some guys win? Is Tom
let
Brady
me
a
say-
winner and Kirk Cousins not?
Well, Tom Brady is a winner, no question. But now let me say this.
But is Tom Brady a winner,
Yes.
or did he just happen to be on a team in the right situation and happen to win? So is Ernie Banks not a winner? You get what I'm saying?
I don't think
is that
I
a
can say.
thing?
Yeah, I mean, are you dependent on your teammates? Of course.
Right.
But let me say this: would other quarterbacks in Tom Brady's shoes been able to drive them to game-winning touchdowns in the Super Bowl the same way? Not necessarily. Now, was he dependent on the rest of his team?
Yeah, there are winners.
Yeah, there are. I mean, Jordan was a winner. Like, Jordan, do you know how many Game 7s he played in the finals? 0.
Yeah.
He won every series in 6 or less. Like this whole idea of, like, a lot of the
Well, he didn't win every one of his series, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Every
one that he won.
Every final series.
Oh, finals, yeah.
Every final series he won in less than 7 games.
Yeah, because he got drummed out of the playoffs 3 times.
Yeah, no, he got knocked out in the Eastern Conference. But he never lost to finals.
Yeah.
So, is he a winner? Yes. Now, but it's not fair. They're all team sports. Like,
yeah.
I played.
A wrestler could be a winner.
I played offensive line.
Yeah.
The least appreciated position in all of sports.
I would agree.
They only get blamed. They never get credit. Like, no one's ever like, wow, the offensive line, like, they gave up a sack or they just did their job.
Well,
but we're not crediting
I
them
do that, but that's because I play offensive
because you played offensive line.
Well.
And so, like, the quarterback gets the glory, the receivers, the running backs.
Right.
But the reality is, like, Tom Brady has had some good offensive lines.
Yep.
Kirk Cousins doesn't have a good offensive line. And so he's not mobile to begin with. And so I love Cousins.
I think understand why he's more mobile than people give him credit for, but his problem is not that he's not mobile. He holds on to the damn ball too long, and he won't throw the ball away.
He won't throw the ball. Or he like, kind of locks down under pressure. Like, when the pocket collapses, he doesn't have the ability to, like, he's not fluid. He's not Aaron Rodgers where he just kind of moves through. And
he's not a winner like that.
No, so now the other question is, like, when you say winner, are we saying is he clutch? Like,
I think that's what we're asking.
Because clutch is a little different. Clutch is in a big spot.
Can he get it done
under pressure? Like, pressure's a real thing. Like, in sports, like, no question. There's certain guys that play well in the regular season and don't show up in the playoffs. And,
that's true.
I mean,
I don't know. I sort of was like, I don't really believe in winners in team sports. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
What I would say is I believe
Ernie Banks isn't a loser.
No.
Because he didn't win a World Series.
Well, in baseball, you don't pitch, so you only do half.
Right.
Like, you're not.
Well, no, but like if you're an offensive lineman on the Bucs, I mean, you don't play defense.
Here would be my reverse question: in sports, are there leaders?
Yeah, there's definitely leaders.
And so I think that's
Tom Brady's leadership skills are.
And not only that, if you talk to anyone who played with Tom Brady, he elevated their confidence. Like
Kevin Garnett.
So when Tom Brady comes into the huddle and you're down 7 in a Super Bowl, you have way more confidence you're going to drive down the score because he knows he's going to. He has the ability to elevate people's play.
Now, here's the thing. It doesn't always work out.
No.
So, like, I would argue that Jimmy Butler is a leader.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always work out.
He just didn't have the right mix. Yeah, you still have to have skill, for sure.
And then Kevin Garnett is an intense dude.
Absolutely.
And if it wasn't for that dream team Celtics team, he probably wouldn't have had a championship either.
Right.
So, but that wouldn't have made any sense.
No.
He absolutely made everybody
I like
better.
your Ernie Banks analogy, especially because, like, you have a lot of guys in both sports. Like, I mean, I think even, like, Dan Marino, like, that's a classic, like, is he the byproduct? I mean, a quarterback can't win a Super Bowl by himself.
My favorite thing to do when I want to pick a fight with somebody is I find out what quarterback they think is the best, and I counter with Dan Marino. I've had dragouts with customers over it.
Dude, Dan Marino was the best quarterback in the NFL for like a 5-6 year stretch, probably. You know?
And then my counter to their counter is Troy Aikman, who is the worst Hall of Fame quarterback, worst Hall of Fame football player.
Yeah.
He barely belongs in the Hall of the Very Good.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you take Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Aaron Rodgers combined, they have the same amount of titles as Aikman, right?
Right.
So it's like all three of those guys are far more talented, and he had a great offensive line, great running back, great defense.
Right. I would argue that.
Same with Terry Bradshaw, though, right? Bradshaw, like, he wasn't.
Yeah, but Bradshaw was good.
He was better than Aikman, but he literally had like 15 Hall of Famers on his team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
His defensive line, his
I'll put it this way:
linebackers,
if you were to say, I'm going to give you the Cowboys, but you got to take Trent Dilfer, but it'll clear up another $10 million in cap space, I'd be like, yeah, done.
Right.
I'll sign another cornerback or something.
Sure.
Like, we'll still win the Super Bowl. You know?
Exactly.
And Dilfer's a winner.
So say more about the Cousins. What triggered that thought, or have you had that conversation?
He was bashing Cousins, and I was like, my main thing about Cousins is, like, if we lose 42 to 35, I find it really hard to blame Kirk Cousins for the loss.
Not only is it hard to blame Kirk Cousins, we were literally the 28th worst defense. We gave
what happened to defense?
We gave up 30 points a game.
Yeah,
average. Like,
I find it hard to blame Cousins for this.
Not only that, Justin Jefferson had a record season. Who's directly responsible for that?
Right.
Everyone loves to give Jefferson who made Jefferson.
No, Jefferson and Thielen do make some amazing catches.
They bail out their quarterback, and for sure, yeah.
But Cousins can drop stuff in I can't believe it. But again, if they scored 35 points, I can't blame
they scored plenty of points to win. Yep.
But
it was injuries, and it was
a lot of people.
They lost every free agent on the defense.
Yeah. But a lot of people do not like Kirk Cousins around these parts. So
yeah, I don't get it.
Okay, so here's the other idea prompt I had is so this is something I came up with when talking to a customer. So I chat a lot with my customers. I'm a bit of a chatty Cathy.
Nice.
It's almost like doing a podcast made sense. So it's the concept of sports cards and collectibles in general, for the future. When we've talked about this multiple times now, and I think some of it has to do with the United States. How should I say this? The United States, of how much new money there is in the United States as the United States gets older.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about it, as 100 years ago, there's still a lot of old money. And by old money, I mean
generational wealth.
Like they came from England, they were rich, and then their kids were rich, and their kids were rich. And so the way you showed off your wealth was purchasing art. Real estate one, but then art being the collectible that you would purchase to show off to your friends to demonstrate how wealthy you were.
Yeah.
And I really think that we're getting a big shift over to collectibles with the new money. Like, I want you to think I'm cool, not that I'm refined.
Right.
If you look at all these tech millionaires and all these, like the Mark Cubans of the world, and they're walking around in jeans. Yeah. You think they really care whether they think you're refined or not? Not really, especially the nerds in Silicon Valley. Like, they're wearing T-shirts and polo shirts.
Yeah, show up at Google's like.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm thinking like that really bodes well for sports cards and other more, dare I say it, pop culture related collectibles.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, what do athletes love to collect? Watches, shoes, cars, cards. Are going to be a big part of that, I think. Right. And not only that, because like one of the reasons they buy the Rolex is because not only do I get to enjoy it and people think I'm cool, but it does have the ability to appreciate it, actually. It's an investment.
And it's something that you can literally go out and show off, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so heavy on vintage apparel.
Yes.
I can actually wear that.
Like you pointed out, Travis Kelce in an interview had like the shark tooth like hat. And like he was wearing a bunch of vintage Chiefs clothing, which is cool.
Travis Kelce loves vintage apparel.
Yeah, he loves the vintage apparel. So like, and then that makes it cool for the fan.
Right.
So you know what I mean? When the athlete's doing it, how much?
Now, so the apparel is sort of the second step. I'm not gonna wear like a gold chain with my Griffey rookie card hanging from it. Although we maybe should invent that. Maybe
this guy just might have just
like like
Evan goes no.
Like no like who am I thinking about with the clock?
Oh, yeah, Flavor
Flav. Like, we can Flavor Flav. We should do that at the National.
With the cards.
And come up with, like a heavy Mr. T type chain.
I got a T chain.
And then, we're big guys, right? So, like, we can pull off the big heavy chain. And then got our graded PSA 10 Griffey hanging. And we just walk in, like, what's up?
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to listen to this podcast.
I want to see what Annie thinks.
I'm going to go to a drawer and get it done.
When you roll home and Annie just shakes her head at you like, wow.
I'm going to, dude, I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to a drawer and have them, like.
Custom build it?
Custom build
like a case?
And then you do it where you can pop it open, put a new PSA card in there every time you want to change it out.
Wow.
It's modular.
What about like mounting it to your hat so you walk around?
Now we're really talking.
You have like a PSA graded hat.
We can put them on the side, like side pockets on that fitted hat.
Gosh.
Stop shaking your head out.
Wow,
These
this
are great
is
ideas.
good.
$1 million ideas.
Late night ideas.
But
with John
so I don't know. I'm thinking like in 20 years, like if we're seeing art struggling, or not, I'm sure art's gonna continue on. It's a very old collectible. Yeah. But if you see it's like, oh, the art's not really getting the bigger gain, because the art gets a lot of big gains.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because people are starting to divert their cash to more fun hobbies.
For sure.
Video game collecting, what have you.
And to that point, one of the things, I don't know, we haven't even really talked about this at all, but like thinking about how you're going to display your cards is a real thing. Like I know we have a couple guys that
on
are
a chain
younger.
with
well, obviously. But like I have a guy or two whose parents have basically transformed their room into a card shop.
Yes.
Like they literally have display cases and they have wall cases with all their cards and they like run their own shop at their. I'm like, how cool is that? Like
I saw that for the first time about 8 years ago. Yeah. People were buying junk wax because they were having shelving in their man cave, and they were stacking the junk wax multiple. So like they would have like a half a dozen 90 Donruss baseball.
Yeah.
Because one doesn't make any sense. If you want to make like a card shop. Yeah. They would have like a row of it, like a card shop would. And I was like, oh, that's the greatest idea in the world.
So
you
cool.
watch a football game in a card shop.
And then you come over, maybe have a couple drinks, and your buddy decides we're going to rip a 90 Donruss box and realize how awful that experience was.
Look at it, like, I got an error card. Like, which one?
I got a Sammy Sosa rookie.
I got the reverse negative Juan Gonzalez. What's that worth now? 75 cents?
Nice.
Actually, there was that Harold Baines error that was worth $12. And this guy at a card show in 1990 was showing a 56 Robinson that was beat. Like I think I had a hole in it. It was just ripped out. But I tried to trade on my Baines for the Jackie Robinson, which would have been a great trade. He kind of laughed at me. But by the way, that's kind of a jerk move. I was gonna say a different way. That's kind of a jerk move. Like. You know, what am I, 12 years old? Like, what are you laughing at me for? I'm 12. Kidding. I'm trying to get this Jackie Robinson. He's my favorite player.
That would have been a good hustle, which, by the way, one of the things I actually encouraged, I had a grandfather in today picking up some stuff for his grandson. He was bragging on his grandson's ability to buy and flip cards. And I said, I love how a whole generation of young entrepreneurs are being trained through the hobby. Like, it's phenomenal. And, like, a lot of them aren't going to stay there and they're not going to end there. But, like, what are they they're gaining skills and
it's an accessible business.
Yes.
For
it's leveraging one of their expertise and passions, which is sports.
Absolutely. And when you're a kid, you have a lot more time to really dive into the sport. You
don't
have a full-time job or a family or mortgage or anything that.
It's awesome. I always tell the guys when they come in the shop, I said, if you're under 15, you're going to win this deal. I'm going to literally let you, the fact that you want to negotiate or you want to make a deal, I love it. You want to trade? Yes, we're trading. I just want to encourage that.
Yeah, I mean, especially so I got 1, 2, 3, I got 4 or 5 kids. They're all around 12 to 14.
Yep.
And they're just the most passionate collectors I have, you know. And by the way, their collection destroys my collection at any point in my life until about a year ago.
Oh, I know. It's unbelievable.
What is going on?
Dude, I see some of these kids and I'm like, one of your cards is better than all of the cards I collected as a kid.
I would have traded you my entire collection in 91 for that card.
For all of it. It's hilarious. I love watching you guys opening boxes and just the excitement around it.
Oh, so I did have a story this week. I don't know if it's true, and even my customer don't know that it's true, but he heard from a Target employee that one of the local stockers of Target had a GPS tracker on her car.
That's not the story I heard. I did. No, I take it back. I heard some rumors of that, but I heard worse. I actually heard
worse than a GPS tracker.
So I heard a guy.
Wait. Worse than a Fifth Amendment violation?
Yes. This is breaking the law. What I heard. So they literally. What I heard was that an Excel rep who has access to the product at Walmart and Target, because they actually have the stuff stocked there.
Yeah,
right?
it's in the back, and then they go in.
So they go in and they check in or whatever. That they were literally coming in, looking over the inventory, taking out Prism football, checking out on their own, and they had literally cleaned out 40 locations or something, and they got fired because of it. They bought it all from Target.
The Excel rep did.
Some rep who had access to it would just literally go from one to one and just
I didn't hear that one.
Well, and the reason I bring it up is we found someone who had 100 blasters, and we bought a bunch of them from him. And I'm like, how'd you get
100?
Because literally my guys have found one each, or 2, or
even a big Target, they're only going to get one big display. How many blasters is one big display?
Yeah, it's gonna be 20.
Yeah, that would be 5 full stores.
Yeah, so I was there. I was there when Chronicles basketball came out, and this is the only time all year when I've done this retail deal, and I did it. It was hilarious. I show up there, and it's all of our regular customers and me, and we're just shooting the breeze, I'm like, oh, this is what this is about. And when she walked out, I think there was 8 of us, and I think each of us got a blaster.
Yeah.
Only 4 of us got a mega, and then we each got like a cello or two. Like literally, that was it. So like, how could one person?
Well, I was thinking. I remember once a guy found. This would have been last year. He had found the whole display where it was. I can't remember what product it was.
Yeah.
But it was the one it had the blasters and like the mega. It's all like
it's in one box.
And then it's all in one box. And what I thought was hilarious was you're trying to do this deal and it was trade night.
Yeah.
And all your customers were trying to negotiate the deal for you. I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, I don't think Clint's enjoying this right now. I'm like, yeah, I think it should be priced like this. And it's just like, shut up.
Like
trying to make a deal.
That's why I got the upstairs cleaned up. So now if I need to make a deal, I just
let's go upstairs and work this out.
Yeah, all these guys want to get their hands in it.
But you know what's funny about that is 45 minutes after that guy left, none of it was there anymore. Like all those guys bought it all up.
It all got ripped.
I thought, but dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So we got I would argue that if the GPS one is real, that's a bigger crime than the other one. The other one's more of a
abuse of authority.
No, I don't think it's a crime. I think it's like it's an abuse of company policy. So when somebody goes, "Oh, that's illegal," it's not illegal. It's against company policy. You get fired.
You can't go to jail because you paid for them, but you shouldn't have been able to buy all of them.
I think a legal argument against AccelRep buying it out would be very long. It would be a very long argument to connect A and B.
Yeah. So
why every time we figure out how long we've been into it, it's about the same time? Do we get bored of each other at the same?
I think we know exactly where we're at on this. We're like.
No, but I would argue that the GPS tracker is literally a felony.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, like you can't violate somebody's Fifth Amendment rights to get your prison football.
Think about how much the AccelRep made compared to what he's being paid.
Oh, no kidding.
Is it worth it for him to get fired over the money he just made?
Yeah, I mean, if he's making $40 a blaster and he gets 100 of them, that's $4,000. I mean,
no. 40 times 100.
Yeah, it's
40 times 10 is $400. That's 4,000.
That's what I said. 4,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 4,000, which is more than he makes in a month, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, man, they probably make 35-ish.
Yeah. 1,000 a year. You mean or a month?
3,500
a month.
A year.
Oh, a year.
35,000. 35,000 a year. If that's their full time gig, I don't know if this is their full time thing.
Yeah, some people.
Merchandisers are sometimes part time. So I don't even know.
By the way, do we want to talk about the update at PSA quick before we wrap it?
But before you do that, let's try to get an Excel in here to do the podcast.
Oh gosh.
I'll talk to that lady.
Yeah, I want to find out.
Hey, we got a podcast.
I'd be curious. Well, that'd be something to do live. I would love to go live and show people what it's like how many people are hunting.
Well, that's one of the things with the podcast. Once we got the camera and go live, people can chat. And we can literally be looking at the chat while we're doing it.
I mean, dude, to tell you, just to give you like a ground level, boots on the ground idea of how much excitement and anticipation and new following in the hobby is happening still. I had a guy in the store yesterday who gave me this. I had a long conversation with him. He actually left me a voicemail right before I got here. I need to call him back tomorrow. Who is a large coin collector investor, and he's literally seen the excitement around sports cards, and it's literally caused him to pivot from coins. And he's like, I want to do this again. Like he's coming back into it. And that's literally happening on a daily basis.
Here's the thing, man. Like your 1923 quarter is never going to run for 150 yards in a game.
Right.
It's just you're never going to be watching a game like I hope my 48 quarter is going to do something.
And you're never going to be able to watch a game with your 1923 quarter with $200 on the game.
Yeah.
Cheering for the guy who makes your quarter worth more if they win. You know what I'm saying? There's this whole dynamic.
There's a reason why cards are a thing,
And you can show your buddies and now back in the day, coins probably carried a different level of prestige or there was probably a social dynamic to collecting coins, but cards are just and the look of them and just the
right. Now here's the thing: there's something about bullion that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, intrinsic. Well, and actually, I had a long conversation with.
And there's real art behind coins too, so we can argue.
I think you and I have said this that I think cards are it's like a merge between art and currency.
Yes.
Cards are literally currency. The liquidity of sports cards.
Especially with grading, yes.
A graded sports card is as liquid as cash.
Yeah.
Essentially. I mean,
the transaction fees.
There's I don't even know. It might be more liquid than coins, though.
Yeah,
than a collectible coin.
The reason why I think once we get back to normal, we're going to get that market correction is because it's not as liquid as gambling.
Sure.
So the gamblers are going to leave cards because there are transaction fees associated with it.
Yep.
I know we got the rake, and I know we got, what do you call it, the VIG. Is that what you charge to make the bet? Or is VIG just interest?
I don't know. Rake is what the house takes in like a poker game.
Right, in a poker game. But I think the VIG is the cost associated with making the bet.
Now,
so
some
like
places
if I bet 100 to win 200, really I should have won 225, but then the 25 went to the house.
Yep.
And so
they always have juice in it.
Right, juice, maybe. I don't know. I don't. You gotta talk about gambling terminology, so I can learn something.
Well, like sports betting, like you're never betting 100 to win 100. You barely ever get even. So I'm betting 110 to win 100.
Right.
And that's
that
their
10
that's
goes,
the 10.
The ability to make the bet.
Yes.
And yeah, so what's going to happen is those guys are going to leave because if they're just buying Giannis for the gamble, well, now you got to sell it.
Right.
Like, how do I sell the damn thing?
Right.
Whereas if I can bet on the box to win, I get my money from my bookie the next day, the next hour. Or if I'm fantasy sports, I get paid immediately.
Yeah, right.
You know, I just win. You know, and so they're when they're just back to normal again.
But you know, one of the
I
things,
think we're going to hemorrhage them.
This is where gambling has gotten into the hobby, is like the modern day Raz of a card. So let's say you know, there's like the cash buyout option. So let's say they Raz a $1,000 card. For those of you listening, a Raz is like a raffle for a card.
It's literally a raffle. They changed the name so that they wouldn't get flagged online.
And so let's say I have a $1,000 LeBron. Rather than one person buying it for $1,000, I sell 10 spots at 100.
Right.
I draw, one person wins the card. Now, let's say you don't want the card and rather you just have the money.
You give them $700.
No, it's like probably $850.
Yeah.
So literally, I could take the card that's worth $1,000, or you can just take $850 cash, and then guess what? I can re-razz the card.
I made $150, and I'm going to do it again.
And I'm going to do it again. Now I might do a different card.
Now that's literally a raffle.
Yep.
It's literally the people that are always trying to make justifications that it's not gambling, and so it's funny because I'm always arguing with them like, nah, dude, it's just an illegal gambling operation, and they always come back at me like, well, you got a moral problem? No, I have no moral problem with it. I'm just defining it properly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if you run a raffle. If everybody agrees, I'm a libertarian. If everybody agrees to the raffle, what do I care?
And now you know the new thing that they were doing for a while is like these Foursquare deals. You know about these? Where like it'd be 4 spots.
Yeah.
So let's say it's $1,000 card. Each person pays $250.
Okay.
One person wins it. One person loses and has to pay the full $1,000.
I've heard them called fatals.
And then the other two get nothing. So you're 25% to win, 25% to lose, and 50%
That's
to push.
literally what Jeremy said about Pack Wars, the way they did it.
Yeah, the Pack Wars.
Oh, dude, like I can't live in that world.
Like one person would pay for the whole box. Like, yeah, it's great. It's like
These gamblers are.
No, I think to your point though, like gamblers are driving some of the breaking.
Yep.
But collecting is still undergirding the thing, and investing.
Now here's the other thing too. Though. Here's the counter to what I said. There's all these gamblers who never did anything with cards ever. Went to cards because they had nothing else to do, and now they're like, "Oh, cards are pretty cool."
Yes.
So I'm not saying we're going to lose all the gamblers.
No.
I'm just saying we're going to hemorrhage the gamblers.
Yes.
You know, but some of them are going to end up being long-time collectors because cards are fun. In the end, cards are fun.
You know what's going to be a great litmus test to all this, John? And I hope everyone listening subscribes so that when the National comes this summer, we can go live. What the crowds are going to look like, what the
dude, it's going to be so loaded up,
because literally like we have high school kids buying $100 cards and flipping them. Like that was not happening 2-3 years ago. Like
no,
we were not selling like high dollar cards or even really selling to kids for the purpose of like you know,
to make money
and collect in the midst of it. And like I can't imagine
there was a handful, but you were always very impressed by them.
Yeah,
you're like, oh,
you were
one of them.
They were one of the rare ones. Whereas now I'm like
kind of mainstream.
Yeah, this is taking off.
Like
we're OG, John. Like we're over 30.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I have 3 kids that came in the shop for the first time last week. They're all juniors.
Nice.
In high school. I have nice kids, and they're So one of them's not in the cards, but the other two are. And we were chatting yesterday. They've been back 3 times in a week, and we're just kind of chatting about cards and learning. One's really just started, like you said, a month ago. Mm-hmm. By the way, he looks like a Division I basketball player. Like I'm looking at him, like, geez, like.
Are you gonna sign some cards?
Like, can I get you out of here? Can I get your card? I didn't ask him if he played sports because it's kind of a weird year to ask that because like. I haven't even playing sports this year, but
you're like, yeah, I would have.
But the other one's a lot more into it. He's talking about what cards he wants to grade and what cards, and I'm trying to give him the best advice I can, and that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you got one kid who's never collected, started collecting a month ago. Another one who's been collecting for a little while. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's cool, and they get to do it together. Like that's one of the.
That's really cool.
It's the social dynamics. Like what I had 2 guys today right when I left the shop to roll up here that were ripping a box together, and like one guy bought it, and the other guy was just sweating his grip. Right. He's getting excited with them, and
that's why it's so fun to rip in front of a crowd.
Yeah, for sure.
Or be part of the crowd, watch someone rip. Well, it's fun for everybody involved.
And actually, John, let me throw this out. I want to get your opinion on this. With how many people are now taking interest in the sports card hobby, what are the chances we see a reality show like Sports Card Wars?
I think there is one.
Is there? Because
I don't know the name of it.
John, I had this thought the other day. Like, what I'm watching someone do here, like ripping these boxes. Like, right before I left, a guy was ripping a Contenders football box from last year.
Okay.
Like, there was 4 people gathered around and watching. Like, I guarantee people would watch this. Like, not only that, like the deals.
One box of cards where 5 people would get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
How cool is that?
And like, I think it would take off on TV. Like, I bet we're gonna see it. So I don't know.
Well, there was one show online where they would bust a pack of cards with an athlete. That was pretty popular.
Cool.
There's one big YouTuber who started doing that, and that took off on his
like
YouTube
even
career.
Like think about if one episode is like you're prepping the cards to send to grade, and then the other one is what they come back.
Right.
At. I mean, like
I think there is a show. I think there's a show. If I find that, I'll write it down and talk about it.
Report on that.
Do you have anything else to talk about in the podcast?
I think.
So they got one thing to end it with, which is just a technical for your information question for you.
Sure.
And you're out of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So last one is something that you mentioned that I didn't know about. This was a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Registered mail. Explain how you use registered mail. This is for you guys who are selling and shipping stuff on eBay or any other way you might sell stuff.
Yeah. So I had a customer yesterday just sell a big card, and we had this long conversation. So right now with priority mail through the United States Postal Service, the highest you can insure a priority package for is $5,000.
Okay.
So there's options to insure for higher. What the next step up is what's called registered mail. Registered mail, you actually have to box. You have to box and tape it specifically. There can't be any exposed seams. You have to use this brown tape on the outside of the box. And what they do is it's the most secure form of shipping. You can actually ship, I think, up to $100,000 insured.
Oh, wow.
And the way it works with the Postal Service is when you drop it off, they literally stamp the entire box, all the edges and the seals. And they have
so the box can't be replaced.
The box can't be opened without being noticed. It can't be tampered with. Not only that, when after you sign it over to them, they literally take it to their safe. The safe at the post office, everyone who touches that box from the time you drop it off has to sign for it.
Oh, wow.
So it takes a little bit longer, but it's actually not that much more expensive. I remember our first grading order, we shipped registered for, I think, we insured the package for $30,000, and I thought, man, that's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
And the shipping was like $20,000, and the insurance was only like another $30,000 or $40,000.
Yeah, that's crazy because I've done like maybe $5,000 shipping, and it was like $28.
Yeah. So literally, registered, I want to say you pay $1 per 1,000.
Which is cheap.
Is really cheap. $1 per 1,000. $1 per 1,000 over 10. I think the first 10 is a part.
Oh, wow.
So like you can ship a package for 50,000 insured.
So how much do you think if the first 10?
Now, when you actually go,
we got to verify that part.
Yeah. Though. So when you go to the post office, the only time I go to the post office is for registered mail. So
you can't do it on eBay.
You can't do it on eBay, and you can't do it on their website. That's good to know. So when you go, they actually give you a physical form. You fill it out, and then when it's old school, and there's a label and a number that coordinates with that number, and you actually have to hold on to that receipt physically. That's your insurance. Now, registered,
That's the way it used to be, man. We used to have little stubs for insurance.
And so now when you pull up registered, you can track it the same way you would Priority.
Okay.
But it's...
So there might be real cost savings. Yep. I assume you can go to USPS and like work it out in their calculator.
Super quick. Usually what I do is actually take like a medium flat rate box so that the weight is still a flat rate shipping, and then you can ship any box registered. Right. Registered is the service level. It's probably, so let's say we're shipping to California. Priority might be 2 or 3 days. It might take an extra day or two.
Now I gotta admit, I'm being a little selfish bringing this up on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because now I'm going to tag this podcast, the Registered Mail Podcast, and at the very end. So now when I forget everything you just told me, I'm just going to go to the end of this podcast and figure out what the deal is.
Yeah, so Registered Mail is the way we ship all of our PSA orders going out.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool. I mean, at what point would you just still send USPS Priority, like $1,000 or something?
Oh, yeah. No, so I only do that if I'm going to insure it for 10 or more.
10 or more?
Yeah,
okay.
10 or more. Everything else I just pay.
Very cool. I think we're good. Everybody listening, please subscribe. And let people know if you know guys like cars. Let them know about the podcast. I think we're at the point where we're pretty proud of what we're doing so far.
Yeah, share with your friends. Hopefully it's helpful. We're enjoying the process, and then we kind of have an archive of stuff that hopefully are going to be helpful. So, yeah, have a great week, guys.
Very good. Thanks for listening.